Because that life lesson and understanding has not been accepted, or you've not attuned yourself to the grace that was bestowed on you.
Hmm.
So that divine intervention that we talk about is the grace that gets bestowed.
Hmm.
And on your spiritual path, in one shot you can be probably elevated, right? Or you will still continue because your tutor will feels that no, you still need some more lessons.
Work in progress.
In work in progress, absolutely correct. Gita is all about your life lessons, isn't it?
Hmm.
The karma, through your karmic cycle, where you're born and where you're born, the place you're born, the family you're born, the country you are born, right?
Hmm.
The reason why you are born in that place, in that space, in that family, in those relationships, right?
Hmm.
It talks about all that, and how through that journey you can eliminate what you don't want on your journey at the soul level, or you can build on it. Sense?
Yes. It is essentially, Bhagavad Gita is a manual of human being.
Absolutely.
So it's the manufacturer's instruction and manual how to conduct this life. And if anything goes wrong, how to diagnose why it has gone wrong, how it has gone wrong, and
Correct.
how it can be repaired. So it's a manual. It's basically a manual of
Correct.
human life.
Yes.
It gives very clearly, what
Right.
needs to be done to have a very trouble-free, smooth leading of
It
life.
doesn't matter whether we say that the Bhagavad Gita belongs, it's for the Hindus.
Hmm.
No, it's life's lessons we are talking about.
Hmm.
We're just talking about life's lessons and teachings at the soul level. I'm not referring it to you. I'm not referring to the Bhagavad Gita as as a spiritual guide or book, for a religion, for one ex-religion.
Hmm.
No, I'm talking in a very broader perspective, that if it is read
Hmm.
with a very open mind, then you will find that it is a path, it is a gateway for life lessons.
So how do you want to? And before that, I have a question. You mentioned Baba in your lifetime that you were Krishna. Is that true? You were Krishna?
I am the same, as I have already said, I am that same ancient soul that keeps coming back and with the times in an avataric, as per the essence, understanding and requirement of that avataric age. So it's like a game I play. When the game is over,
Hmm.
I wait for the next season of the game to come, isn't it?
Yeah.
When the correct season comes for playing a game, I come back again to be a part of that game.
With a different episode,
Correct.
with a different
A different episode
with
with
the
different players,
players.
right?
Hmm.
With it at a different ground,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So the ground can be a different country, right?
Hmm.
The players can be my immediate, uh, my immediate core group
Hmm.
that I have with me always,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
My my mentor and my coaches, who are like my own gurus,
Hmm.
that come, or they exist when I come,
Hmm.
you know, every avataric age. So it's absolutely like I'm coming to play a seasonal game.
Hmm.
And when the game is over, when the season is over, you have your soccer game, world games that happen every 4 years, 6 years, whatever,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So it comes, there's a lot of preparation that goes on, right?
Hmm.
So it cannot be the same players or the same, the same place,
Hmm.
but it changes, isn't it?
Hmm.
You have it, you have the game taking place maybe in a different country,
Hmm.
or hosted by a different country, or whatever. Likewise, at every avataric age, when I have come, I have said I have come as Krishna, I have come as Muhammad, as Jesus Christ, as Gautam Buddha, and I have also come in very different minor roles. And it is the same ancient energy that exists, and it comes.
So when you came as Krishna, you gave Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield of Kurukshetra
Yeah, Mahabharata.
in Mahabharata to
Yeah,
Arjun.
yeah.
So, what was, if you have to summarize, how will you summarize what was the purpose, what you wanted to convey to Arjun or to the mankind, and how you completed that episode with the theme that you in that avataric age. How will you summarize the purpose of your coming to that age as Krishna and giving Bhagavad Gita as a sermon?
So, if I can summarize or put a gist to it, I will say as much as you come as a part of a family, you still exist at an individual level. And your existence, or the purpose for which, as the Gita says, you are coming, starts at an individual level. Regardless of whether your relationships around you are your immediate or relationships for which you work harder, where you see there is morality, there is honesty that exists, and that should be the very purpose of existence. Right? So the whole battle of Mahabharata, as we know, taken like a family affair, is it? It was between cousins, it was between families, and within that also, it was a mix of relationships with its own limitations. Right? At an individual soul level, if you see, each one had a purpose for which they existed and their own perspective of how they conducted themselves. Right? But the bigger purpose was, so if you say as Krishna, maybe fighting or taking the side of Arjuna and fighting the battle for him, was about righteousness, isn't it?
Right.
That's what we've known. It was a battle of
Righteousness and
righteousness,
dharma.
dharma, regardless of who is in front of you, because at that time, your fight or your existence it has one soul level to another soul level, one human being to another human being. If you see that, you're taking a fight against your own brother or your parent or your cousins or your uncles or whatever, then it restricts you, right? Because your emotions come into play. This is about getting beyond your emotions, right? And fighting for righteousness. And then it's about life's lessons which even exist today and will continue to exist. So there was a meaning which had to be given so that it could relate to an era, a generation much beyond that time. Right? And we all face that in our own day to day existence. As you rightly said, it was also about divine intervention. It was about each one coming with their own karmic baggage and how they played a role of eliminating or moving away from that circle on which they were all intertwined or connected with each other. Right? And the whole purpose was to break away from those shackles and identifying yourself at the soul level.
Bodily relationship did not matter. What mattered is soul level righteousness,
Yes.
which leads to right karma and therefore right progress and a reason to be free
Yeah.
and liberated.
It was also about, not getting entangled or caught in ego, right? Or also showing vulnerability, that you're not getting vulnerable being in a situation, or you're not doing something out of sheer pity, or out of feeling obliged, that you have to do it because you're obliged to be a part of that family or a part of a very close relationship. If you saw that this relationship or you're obliged to be in this relationship in this birth may not exist in the next birth, right? And then at the soul level, if that was understood, then it was a battle of righteousness.
Yes.
But if you were caught in that web of just being limited to the understanding, of being bound by a karmic cycle to a family or whatever, then it would have been extremely difficult to get out of that karmic web. And the whole purpose was about, Krishna's birth also, isn't it? It was an uncle with whom Krishna had a fight, right? So it was a battle against ego, right? It was battle against saying that, yeah, if you think you're high and mighty, there is a spiritual force
Hmm.
that will work or that will exist in that time and era
Hmm.
to break away the myth and nullifying that ego of the uncle, right?
Hmm.
So on and so forth. So again, it was about, showing the circumstances of where Krishna was born, isn't it?
Hmm.
The life he led. These were life lessons that were being taught, right? So
Hmm.
maybe, yes, it's taken away from his parents and brought up in a different place by parents who loved him in a different way, right?
Hmm.
Who were not his biological parents.
Hmm.
And of course, later on, the real purpose for for in that avataric age for me to come as Krishna was at every level of fight for righteousness. I've already explained as in my avataric age as Jesus Christ why I existed in that time.
Hmm.
Right. So it was the need of that era and that avataric age to come as it existed then. In my most recent avataric age as Meher Baba, in today's time, it was more living life at a very different family level, right?
Hmm.
Living in harmony, in existence, with with uh, with my mandali,
Hmm.
as we can put it,
Hmm.
as traveling the whole world, traveling the whole of India,
Hmm.
right? Having my disciples or my loved ones from everywhere. But that was the need of the time for which I came,
Hmm.
right? I couldn't have existed like a Krishna,
Hmm.
isn't it?
Hmm.
For me, it was more of a human factor,
Hmm.
you know, to be more like a normal human being,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And at the same time, came for the upliftment of society as the need was.
Hmm.
There were two world wars that happened, right?
Yes.
So there was a lot of shift of energy happening at that point in time where I was involved with my universal work,
Hmm.
right? And I left behind a place of worship, like
Hmm.
my samadhi, for universal work. So we'll sum up on that to say the essence of the Gita doesn't matter where you're born, why you're born, where you're born, how you're born. The purpose is most important. At every stage, if you have your proper mentoring, if you have a proper tutoring, if you have your proper lessons, and open, you're open to change,
Hmm.
you're open to learning,
Hmm.
and enhancing your own existence and your well-being on your spiritual path,
Hmm.
then you can say, yes, the purpose of my existence, why I exist at the soul level again, in every birth, to free myself from bondage. Right?
Free from all the bondage of sanskaras.
Absolutely. Impressions, yes. So when great saints and great masters are born and they keep coming back, right?
Hmm.
They don't have a karmic bondage at all.
Hmm.
Because then they are existing for the good of mankind. They
Hmm.
come for a purpose,
Hmm.
right?
You're right.
Because if they keep coming and doing work and again they acquire their karmic impressions,
Hmm.
it doesn't help. So it's only when at the soul level you're free from that bondage, karmic bondage,
Hmm.
then you are able to align to the universal work that you come for. And Mahabharata, of course, was the very foundation and essence of how we need to conduct ourselves in society, in our relationships, how we can differentiate what is right and wrong from the good and the bad, and building it up for the nation, for the society, for the world at large, and for ourselves.
Hmm.
So, if you are not able to understand yourself and contribute to that change, then a broader and wider change cannot happen, isn't it? So, we'll end on that note. And Baba loves you all and always stay happy and cheerful.
Thank you, Baba.